Afternoon, guys. I hope everyone's keeping well. Rob back for another video. This is the promised video of my cat vines that I've had over the last sort of couple of weeks or so. Just a little aside. Come back from holiday. Been away this week for 4 nights. Some of you may be aware, I was in Grange-over-Sands and was very pleased to meet up with the one and only James Griffiths, which was great. It was chucking it down with rain, and neither of us could remember much about the town itself, even though we'd both been there. James some years ago, as with myself, we kind of were like ships sort of missing each other in the night. We eventually met up just, I think, down by the train station and went for a beer and had a chat for about an hour and a half. Couldn't stay too late. James had to get back. I'd left my wife and son in the car park at the top end of town. So I didn't want to leave them too long, even though they were quite happy. Didn't mind, understood the situation and so on. So, but it was great. It was great to have a meet up. And James, obviously, a lot of you, I'm sure, who subscribe to me will undoubtedly know James really well. Great channel, always doing interesting content. A lot of reviews on bands that he's into. Obviously he's a big Beatles fan, but likes pretty eclectic in his tastes, he's just a great guy. Go over and check out his channel if you're not already subscribed. So this is just going to be a fairly quick run through of what I've picked up. As I mentioned in my last video, I've got a little bit of vinyl, but I've got quite a few CDs. So I'll probably actually start with the CDs, to be fair. So those who don't, vinyl purists who aren't into CDs can, if you like, I don't mind. So, but I'll rattle through these as quick as I can. Okay, so basically Ben has been a collector of this label for quite some time. I had 1 or 2 titles already, but there was an awful lot of artists on the label that I wasn't familiar with. It's a label called Seeley Court, and they're a British label, and they specialise in resurrecting sort of cult independent artists from the 60s through to the 70s. This particular lot of CDs I'm going to show is from a series from 1965 to 76, so sort of 11-year period. And a lot of these are kind of psych, folk, progressive titles, but they also do a lot of kind of proto metal and so on as well, and sort of darker stuff, a lot of kind of loner folk and etc. So I'll just whip through them because he did buy a collection of these. I think he had about probably 40 altogether. He did actually let me borrow them all, so I could sort of do an appraisal on them and sort of road test them, play them, see if they're ones that I actually want to keep. I didn't actually have time to play them all. Majority though I did, and these are the ones that kind of float in my boat that I decided to go for. So these are in no particular order of preference. Just a bit of a disclaimer, some of the information on these artists is quite scant in terms of Wikipedia and so on. There is some sleeve notes in the gatefold sort of mini album jackets that they've put them in, but the text size is really small. So people who struggle with their eyesight these days, me included, actually kind of struggle to read a lot of the text. But those who don't obviously probably won't have any problem. Okay, so starting off, this is a band called Hook Norton, and this is In for a Penny. So this is, when was this? Does this come out? I think about 1970, 71. Very folky, a 6-piece band. We've got guitar, piano, pipes, violin. Some of it I think was recorded live at the University of East Anglia. And that's the thing with all of these. Some of them are sort of mixture of live and studio. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Got a kind of really good vibe about it. Sort of, fairly sort of typical folk rock, I guess, in this sort of vein of Fairport, but very listenable. So I think some of these are still available, although I did have a quick look on some of the sites, independent sites that sell their records online, and they say that some of these are no longer available, but it's always worth checking out. This is definitely one of my favourites. This is one actually that I bought on vinyl a couple of months ago, but I thought I'd get the CD copy as well. This is Morning Phase, and I think this is a sort of new artwork that they've done for this release. Okay, this is a sort of folk, progressive folk album from 1970, I think, or 71. What's the date on that? Yeah, 1971. Female vocal, pentanglish, with a slight psych edge. Really enjoyable. Definitely one of my favourites of the bunch on this, and I would highly recommend anybody who's into kind of pentangral trees would definitely kind of enjoy that one. Okay, another favourite. This was great. This is 1976. I think this is I think he's Welsh. This is Dave Keir. I believe this was his only album from 1976. And this is kind of a bit lone of folkish, quite downbeat, wonderful picking style that he has. Really enjoyed this one. And this one is highly recommended. Tracks like Bitter Blues, the title track, just have a look, Bones, I think was fantastic as well. And beautiful ballad, Loose in the Rag and Bone is probably my favourite track. Absolutely sublime. And you can YouTube that. So that's definitely tracks off that are available. Okay, next one is, who's this one? This is John Strang, and this is another folky acoustic one called Shame, Stigma, Treatment and Recovery. So this is a kind of semi-conceptual kind of album regarding sort of recovering from kind of mental illness or coping with mental illness. I guess you can sort of get a feel of that from the cover. This one was recorded, I think, in the early 70s, unless I'm very much mistaken. I think it was 1970, 71. They don't actually give the years on some of these, but as I say, you can sort of tell from the production. Another great one, really love this one. This is, I think these are Welsh as well. This is The Great Crash and Dead Fire Echoes. And this one is very much in the sort of vein of kind of Badfinger, with a kind of slight Americana edge. Really enjoyable, very accomplished, well-written songs, fantastic playing. Bit of a step up on the production as well on this. A lot of these are kind of sort of very kind of lo-fi in the recording wise. This one was a little bit more a bit more produced, a bit more dynamic. So, but yeah, really enjoyed that one. Played that one a few times already. That's a really good one. Okay, this is another kind of folk, sort of progressive folk rock band. This is Lifeblood. There was quite a few of these of theirs in this collection. I think this was the first one from '69. This is the one that I kind of like the best. Yeah, quite sort of dark in places. Really interesting vocals, and just the feel of the songs, sort of with a sort of historical twist. But yeah, so that's Lifeblood. And what's this album actually called? It's Latin, Esse Quan Videri. I think I've pronounced that right. I never did Latin, so but yeah, okay. Okay, next one is this is an interesting one. There's a band called Across the Water. This is two guys, guitar and percussion. It started off quite traditional, and it got kind of more progressive as it sort of conceptual as it went on. Quite a nice production on this one from what I remember, and yeah, that one was that's an enjoyable one as well. These guys are Peter McKerrow, keyboards, guitars, mandolin and vocals, and Andre Verno, guitars, bass, mandolin and vocals, and this one was recorded April '75. This is one of the probably one of the most interesting ones of all of them. This is Threads of Life, and this is a sort of school sixth formers that were doing their A-levels and doing a A-level music course, and the group was actually recorded. I think they got a professional engineer in and somebody to actually, I think it was the keyboard player who wrote a lot of the material on this. I think it was his music teacher who scored the orchestra backing on it. So yeah, sort of I don't know, Odessa, Bee Gees maybe comes to mind. A little bit more progressive perhaps than that, but certainly in the feel of it. I think this was 1972. Yeah, 1972 recorded, and yeah, decent production on this, because I say they got a professional engineer in to record it. So yeah, and there's an interview as well with the guys, radio interview, contemporary interview from the time, to give it some context as well. So that's Threads of Life. Okay, Steve Brown Band, this one, Soul Full of Sin. Don't remember an awful lot about this, to be honest. So I think I only played, some of these only played a couple of the tracks just to get a feel of whether I wanted to buy them or not. But yeah, I think it's another one that's in the kind of a sort of folk rock vein. Yeah, similar feel on some of these. Okay, two more. This is quite an edgy one. This is Isolation. Really enjoyable. I think Ben really liked this one as well. And quite sort of dark vocals in places. Sort of downbeat, atmospheric. Definitely created an atmosphere. Female vocal on this one, if I can remember right. Yeah. Really enjoyable, that one. Yeah. And the last one, this is one that I had heard before years ago on that Rarest Records. This is a Welsh band called Benjamin Delaney Lyon. The cover's quite familiar. This is Satori. And yeah, they're sort of very much into sort of Donovan and the Incredible String Band. So quite sort of quirky songs. Probably one of the reasons why I liked it so much. Yeah, so I think there's, how many songs is there? 11 songs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5. So nearly half of the album are Incredible Band covers, but they do them really well and put a bit of a twist on it in their own kind of style, which I always like when people do covers. So not a direct homage, but definitely you can tell that they were heavily influenced. So yeah, so that's the CD Court CDs. Happy to get those. Just the 3 vinyl records that I picked up. Okay, so this is a really interesting record. This was actually sealed. Ben was playing this, streaming it when I got in. So this is a New York band called the Twigs, and this is a 2018 release. This is their 2nd album. And it's 2 guys, Brian and Michael Daddario, who play a majority of the music and songs on this. Multi-instrumentalist, very talented, and very heavily influenced by Big Star and that kind of power pop from the kind of early 70s. They kind of got the guitar sounds, the production sound, it's all there. So I think Todd Rundgren guests and sings on a couple of tracks, and also Jody Stevens from Big Star contributes some playing as well. So but yeah, it's kind of a loose concept album about a chimpanzee that's brought up as a human, as you do. So yeah, it's an really interesting listen. Double album, although it's quite short. It's over two discs. Yeah, a couple of the songs, close your eyes and you'd think it was Alex Chilton, to be honest. Just very rocky, some quite sort of eccentric stuff as well, sort of Kinks style, very kind of English, almost like music hall kind of feel as well. It's just my sort of thing. Very very interesting mix of styles, but underlying definitely the power pop feel very strong there. So I think they did a 3rd album, not sure, I haven't heard that one, that was due to come out in 2020, but was deferred because of COVID. And I believe they've got a 4th album coming out quite soon, so I'll be interested to hear that. So that's Go to School, a musical by the Twigs. Okay, next one, just an addition to my Peggy Lee collection. Always pick up Peggy albums when I see them in good condition. This one's really nice. It's original UK mono, flip back. Not sure of the year on this one. I would suspect it's late 50s, early 60s. On that lovely rainbow capital. Lovely condition. It does have the original Leno, but I cleaned it and put it in one of these black polylined audio sleeves. So yeah, lovely, beautifully arranged songs, some classic Irving Berlin songs on here. As time goes by, I wish I didn't love you so. Maybe it's because love you too much. I get along without you very well. Arranged and conducted by Quincy Jones. So yeah, lovely orchestral arrangements on this. in glorious mono. So that's Peggy Lee and If You Go. Okay, and the last one, can't really tell you an awful lot about this because I haven't played it, but I picked it up because it was cheap. This is a jazz keyboard player called Roland Hannah, and this is Perugia, recorded live at the Montreux Jazz Festival, I think in 1974. So yeah, it's all solo piano, and let's have a look. Looks like they're all, most of them are covers. There's a few self-pen numbers. We've got Take the A Train, I Get It Bad and That Ain't Good, Duke Ellington. Yeah, so a few well-known adaptations there. And this one is on dusty Freedom Records. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a spin. So yeah, that's it, guys. Quite a quick one. So yeah, hope everyone's keeping well and enjoy the weekend. Yep, and I'll sign off now, and I'll hopefully have another video quite soon. Take care of yourselves. All the best, guys. Bye bye.